Good day everyone. Our group will discuss about printmaking. So, what is printmaking? Printmaking is a form of art that involves transferring ink to paper. On the other hand, printmaking is the process of creating artworks by printing normally on paper, but also on fabric, wood, metal, and other surfaces. It is also the process which is capable of making multiple copies of the same artwork. Each individual copy is called a print or an impression. Each print produced is considered an original work of art, and it is correctly referred to an impression but not a copy. The set of prints is called an edition, while a signed and numbered set of prints is called a limited edition. Let us now proceed on a brief history of printmaking. Printmaking originated in China around 105 CE. The history of printmaking began in Han Dynasty, China. The earliest known example is a woodblock print on silk. It has been dated sometime during the Han Dynasty from 206 BC to 220 AD, and the first print on paper was made during the 7th century. During the Gothic and Renaissance period of art, relief printing became very popular in Europe. So, how are prints made? Prints are made from a matrix, or it is also known as a mat, which can be made from many different materials. Prints are made by transferring ink from the matrix to paper or another material. So the matrix is essentially a template, and it can be made of wood, metal, or a glass. The design is created on the matrix first, and by working its flat surface with either tools or chemicals, the matrix is then inked in order to transfer onto the desired surface. To print from a matrix, it requires the application of controlled pressure, most often achieved by using a printing press, which creates an even impression of the design when it is printed onto the paper or fabric. More modern printing techniques such as screen printing do not require a press. The resulting print is often the mirror image of the original design on the matrix. And one of the great benefits of printmaking, save for monotype, is that multiple impressions of the same design can be printed from a single matrix. So this is end my part. Thank you and good day.
Next is the types of printmaking. There are 4 basic types of printmaking. The first one is the relief. It is one of the simplest types of printmaking. The ink is applied to the raised surface of the matrix. Like for example, sa stamp, you are going to put some ink on the upper part of the surface of the stamp, and then you are going to rub the paper to its upper surface so that the ink will be transferred to the paper. And the best example for this is the Tugboat Print Shop by Valerie Lewis. Next is the intaglio. The ink is applied beneath the original surface of the matrix, such as case with techniques and engraving and etching. It is actually the opposite of the relief. It is done through etching the maybe the plastic surface or a metal surface, and then you are going to put some ink on the scratch surface of the plastic or a metal, and then you are going to rub the paper so that the ink will transfer to the paper. And the most famous printer of intaglio is Elbert's Dürer Jacopot Putker, Edward Hopper, and many more. Next is the planograph. It is said to be the most complicated one. It is the design is printed onto a flat surface. The matrix retains its original surface but is specially prepared to allow to transfer the image. It is basically done through having some chemical process to the rock surface. We are going to put some ink and then make some chemical process on it, and then you are going to put the paper and then rub to its surface so that the ink will transfer to the surface of the paper. And the last one is the stencil. It is a special variant of printmaking, and it involves carving the design out the thin material and then printing the design by rubbing spraying paint around the spaces that are cut out. Like for example sa silk screen, or like for example magprint ta sa tuang t-shirt. That's the basic example of the stencil. But make sure that when you are making a multi-step print, it is more important to align the paper and the printing elements the same way each time. So we have to make sure that the paper that we are going to have some print, we have to make sure that it is actually aligned to each other. Thank you.
So, good afternoon everyone. So, to continue the discussion about printmaking, let's proceed to the registration of printmaking. So, when we say registration, it is when you are making a multi-step print. It is important to align the paper and the printing element the same way each time. So, this process is called registration. So, registration, it is very important today printmaking to be able to have a good output kay kanis nga registration diha man gud nato makuan nga mga makakwanta og good nga output sa pagprint kay kinahanglan man jud sa pagkuan sa mga materials dapat naka-align siya, naka-align ang usa ka papel sa usa ka printing element the same each time. So kinahanglan nakaset ang tanan nga material sa correct position. So next, what we are doing, so we'll be creating prints using linoleum, which is called lino cut. So this is form of relief printing. Think of what you're doing as creating a big stamp. So linoleum, it is also made of, it is made from natural and renewable materials including linseed oil, cord powder, and wood flour. So also it is commonly used for flooring purposes and different sorts of buildings. So kani siya nga linoleum
Tools for printmaking. Tracing and carbon paper to transfer a mirror image of the design to the block of linoleum. Sheet of linoleum. Carve out the design and use this to print the artwork. Ink. Apply this to the surface of the line, cut and transfer it to the paper. Glass. Use this to spread the ink prior to putting it on the lino cut. Brayer. Rolls ink into the surface of the matrix. Printing press. Applies pressure to the linoleum, pressing the image into the paper.
Let's proceed to the steps when making a printmaking. First is to create a design. Then transfer the mirror image of the design to the lino block. Typically, this will be done using tracing paper and carbon paper. Next is darken the lines on the lino block with a Sharpie. Fourth is carve the design on the lino block. The uncarved areas of the block are the parts that get printed. Fifth is the lino block is inked with a brayer. Next, the image is printed onto paper either manually or with a printing press. You can transfer the image by either it is manually or using the printing press. So let's go to some examples of printmaking arts. So these are. First is the Great Wave of Kanagawa by Katsushika Hokusai. Next is Self-Portrait in a Cup, Open Mouth by Rembrandt. Next is The Disasters of War by Francisco Goya. Next is This Portrait in 1958 by Pablo Picasso. And also, this is Still Life with Glass Under the Lamp, 1962. And the last one is by Elizabeth Catlett. That's all, and thank you.